can one of my favorite Mets here last year, Jose Butto, who is with the team, and he's going to start in the bullpen, but he could still start if they need it. So I think the Mets' middle relief here and late relief is upgraded. Because, again, you got the guys I mentioned there, Butto and also some of the guys like Reed Garrett that they had, Ryan Stanek that they picked up at the trade deadline, AJ Minter that they picked up in free agency, like I said. So I think those are upgrades, from guys like Ottavino and some of the people that they had last year. So we shall see. And, of course, Edwin Diaz in the closer role still. And it looks like he, would hopefully go back to where he was. So just like everybody else, the Mets do have some injury concerns to start, but that's what it looks like opening day and the first part of the season. So it'll be very interesting to see, where this team goes. And now I'll conclude with this. I went through this spiel a year ago and talking about on this show, well, okay, these guys could possibly be starting. These guys could possibly be starting. And it seems a little more solid here. And I think there's a little bit more stability. And I think we have a few more answers this year than we had last year, because the utility infielders were guys, holdovers from other teams. Now, you got guys like Vientos in there and like I said, Luis Angel Acuna might be able to do something, and hopefully Brett Beatty again can do stuff. So I think they're in a lot more solid position, and they weren't sure how Tyrone Taylor would do, and he did just fine, and got guys again like Jesse Winker and people like that. So I think maybe it's the Juan Soto effect that that creates depth in itself right there. I think this team is a lot more solid starting the season, and I think a lot more questions are answered. Of course, there are still some unanswered questions, but I think a lot more answered questions than we had at this time last year.
Yep, exactly. So, good. That's good to know. The Mets have more answers than questions. Usually, they always have more questions than answers.
I know.
Anyway, we're going to move on. It is now that time for our question of the week. So, Joe, would you like to give it a try?
Of course.
Okay, Joe, for the first time on the season 2 premiere of the Subway Conversation Chat, here's your first trivia question. Can you guess this MLB player? He was a 40-40 club member. I think you know this, but I just learned this. The 40-40 club member is 40 home runs and 40 stolen bases. He had 412 home runs and he played on 4 teams. Is it Vlad Guerrero Sr., Jose Canseco, Ryan Braun, or Alfonso Soriano?
Oh. Could be any of these guys. You said 412 home runs. I'm going to go Jose Canseco.
Nope, it was Alfonso Soriano.
I was going to say him too. And all right. I didn't think he had that many home runs.
Okay, so now but good try though, Joe. In other baseball news, why is Kenny Lofton upset with the current state of baseball? And what does he want to do to fix it? Former MLB star Kenny Lofton didn't hold back on the state of the game being focused on the home run ball. Lofton considered himself to be a situational hitter rather than a home run hitter. He batted .299 and had a .372 on-base percentage, which was great in his time for a situational hitter. The problem is, late in his career, he felt he never really got the glory for being a situational hitter that the involving home run hitters got. And we have a quote. I think with this day and age right now, it's all about long ball, and it's sad to see these young kids come up and talk about exit velocity, launch angle, and all of that. Lofton told the Post recently in a phone conversation. The problem is that's all only talking about home runs. And it's sad, and where if we had a guy in the 90s talk about, oh, yeah, he had 100 strikeouts, they say, man, you got to cut that down. Now guys are getting 200 strikeouts, but if he gets 30 home runs, they say, oh, yeah, you're an all-star. So, Joe, what do you make of Lofton's assessment that everybody, especially the young players, are only focusing on swinging for the fences instead of small ball? And also, Kenny Lofton mentioned that small ball is kind of being forced back into the game now with bigger bases and analytics and the pitch clock and lower batting averages. So, why does Lofton think small ball and situational hitting is being forced into the game when back in his day it was more organic?
Yeah, first of all, I mean, I understand. I mean, there's still a little bit of that, but if he just said this, I think a quote like this is more pertinent for like baseball 3 years ago, because a few years ago we were all having this discussion, right? We were all saying, okay, there's way too much focus on the home run ball, and again, it's taken away from the game because the balls in play aren't happening, and it's either, you know, it's all or nothing, and that kind of excuse me, made the game boring. And I get that. But again, this was a few years ago. Now, I understand what he's saying, and I guess I'm going to agree with him. Baseball has kind of forced it in, but I think forcing it in, I think there's a good chance it becomes a little more natural again, because you're going to shift the focus. Obviously, the shift on the home run isn't going to go away anytime soon. But now, if you're with the bigger bases and with the banning the shift and everything, which I was against, but I like the fact that they're artificially doing it now. But eventually, I think the tendency would be for it to kind of naturally go back to that. So again, I'll partially agree with him because he's right. They did force it, but it's made the game better already. You know, there's a little bit less of a focus on the home run ball than there was a few years ago. And I'm talking only like 2-3 years ago. And I think you might go back to naturally a little bit more natural baseball.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
But I'm just
wondering.
I
said, I think they had to force it. They couldn't wait another 2 decades for it to naturally happen.
Yeah, because people wouldn't be watching anymore. But yeah. My only curiosity with that comment is, again, that comment would have been very valid 3 years ago. Now, I think baseball's doing it right, and they're going away from that.
Yeah. Anyway, well, it looks like we come to the end of our show. So, Joe, where can we find you in the social media world on Tuesday, March 25th, 2025?
And I'm going to ask you a question before I do that, Jamie. You want to really quick? We don't have to go through every divisional team. We got to share some predictions here, don't we? We got time for that?
Yeah, we do.
Just division winners, wild card, and World Series. How's that?
Okay.
You want to start, or you want me to start?
I'll go.
Okay. Who wins the American League East?
I still think the Yankees can win the AL East once everybody's healthy, because I really don't. Like I said, the Orioles are better, but like I said, the Yankees still have the pitching, and analytically they're a good team. They still got Judge, obviously, and they've got Austin Wells as a young catcher. And like I said, if Jason Dominguez comes through and wins AL Rookie of the Year this year, the Yankees could get a first-round pick next year in 2026.
Okay, we got a nice comment here, too. Everyone's swinging for the fences, they say. Gives Kyle Schwarber as an example. One of our cohorts here, Rivari Sports.
Yep, Charles.
Again, it's still a big part of the game. And
I didn't say the Orioles were better than the Yankees. That's why I said the Yankees. I said the Yankees would win the division, Charles. I may have. Some people may think they're better, but that's why I have the Yankees winning the division.
He's not going to like.
Thanks for the comment, Charles.
Yes, definitely. He's not going to like what I say about the Orioles, but go ahead, continue.
Orioles, I think the Orioles do get one of the wild cards.
Okay.
I think the Orioles, like I said, the Orioles get one of the wild cards. I actually think I'm going to go on a limb here. I think the Red Sox get another wild card. And I'm going to call me crazy, but I think Toronto could get a wild card. So, yeah, I think the Yankees win the AL East, and all three wild card teams come from the AL East this year because they said the AL East is going to be a better division this year.
All right. Who wins the Central? That's an interesting one because about 4 teams.
I think Detroit again.
Okay.
Because of
Cleveland won it last year, right?
Oh yeah, I meant to say Cleveland won it, but I think Cleveland wins it again.
Okay. And West is another interesting one.
I'm going to go on a limb here. I'm going to say the Sacramento A's.
Wow. A lot of people are on that train. So, okay.
I think now that they're finally out of Oakland and they could start building a better team before they go to Vegas. And like I said, they have Luis Severino now pitching. And this is the highest payroll that the team's had since leaving Oakland, and
okay,
which is really good to see. They're starting to spend more a little bit in Sacramento.
All right, real quick in the National League, who wins each division and who's your wild cards?
The East, the Mets.
Okay.
The West, obviously the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Padres get a wild card.
Okay.
I'm going to go on a limb here. I think the Cardinals are going to get a wild card.
Okay.
Because they're young and they're still developing, and maybe the Chicago Cubs. We'll see. And then NL Central. NL. Oh, I forgot to say AL West. I think the Astros win it.
Okay.
So I think
actually, you said the A's, right? Or they get a wild card?
No, AL West. I meant to say Sacramento. Never mind.
Yeah.
Sacramento won AL West. But anyway, NL West, I said the Dodgers, NL East, the Mets, but the Padres get one of the wild cards. And I said the Padres and the Cardinals. But guess what? NL Central, I'm going to actually go on a way wild card prediction. I think the Pirates are going to win the division.
Wow. All right. We'll come back with your World Series picks in a second. I'll go through mine real quick here. AL East, I'll start with the same teams. I think the Yankees win the East. They have a lot of injuries and there's some question marks, but I like the Yankees to win the East. I'm with you with the Red Sox. I think the Red Sox come in second there as a wild card. I thought I was crazy. I must be the only person who thinks the Blue Jays are going to be a wild card team. But obviously, Jamie is on the same page. We didn't talk about this before. So I think the Blue Jays, here's why. Because this is the last year with the core. And I think they go out with a bang. And they're a third place wild card team here. Now, this is not a knock against the Orioles. I love the Orioles. They're one of my favorite teams to watch. I think they take a step back this year. I think they come in fourth place in the division, and I don't think they even make the playoffs. Now,
don't let Matt hear that, though. Matt Trigger. But
I know. That's why I didn't they were talking about that. One of our other cohorts, Dylan, said that the Orioles would not make the playoffs. And
he said the Yankees wouldn't make it either.
Yes, I saw that, and I disagree. But I think the Orioles don't make it. In the Central, I got the Minnesota Twins winning that division. And I think the Royals and the Tigers take steps back. So, and so do the Indians. Okay. So I think the only team that makes it from that division is the Minnesota Twins. And then in the West, I'm going to go chalk here. Now, I think a team that comes back is the Texas Rangers. I think the Astros still win the division, but I think I think, what was I going to say here? That the Rangers and the Astros go wire to wire here, head to head. And I think the Rangers do make the playoffs. and potentially another playoff run. And Seattle, I think they're close, but just like the other years, not close enough. And Sacramento, I don't think they're ready for prime time just yet. So again, I got Yankees, Twins, who else? Astros, and then I got the Red Sox, Blue Jays, Rangers making it as wild cards. And again, we're getting some more comments that the Orioles lost Burns. And so that's a big thing. The Astros are trending down, according to this comment. I think they hold on for one more year. Now, in the National League, I would love to say the Mets win the division, but I think a team makes a comeback here. The Atlanta Braves. I think we see an Atlanta Braves team that we saw a couple of years ago and is a World Series contender. So they win it. I do think the Phillies and the Mets hang with them, and I think both the Phillies and the Mets make the playoffs as wild cards. In the Central, boy, I would love to say the Pirates. I hope Adam's not watching here, but I see the Pirates last place this year. A competitive team. I'm not saying they're going to be horrible, but I think the Cubs win this division. I predicted it last year, and it didn't happen. I think the Cubs take it, and I think the Cubs are the only team in this division that makes the playoffs. I think you'll have some competitive teams. The Brewers are still good. The Reds, I think we see a lot of improvement, and they're in the race until the end of the year. I don't quite see the Cardinals just yet. I don't just see the Pirates, quite see the Pirates just yet. So I got the Phillies and the Mets in the East making the playoffs. The Dodgers, here's my bold statement. Now, the Dodgers are good enough to win 120 games, and they're going to win the division hands down. But I'm going to say right now, the Dodgers do not go back to the World Series. It's just because of the Major League playoff crapshoot that I think just has an effect on them. I do think the San Diego Padres are the wild card team there. Again, they're going to be nowhere close to the division, but they're going to be an excellent team. Again, I have no dislike for the Diamondbacks. A lot of people were on them last year, and I said they weren't going to even make the playoffs. And I'm going to say the same thing now. Again, they picked up Burns, talking about him being gone by the Orioles. They're going to be a tough out, but I don't think the Diamondbacks make the playoffs, and the Giants and Rockies not quite ready. So who's your World Series teams, and who wins?
I think it's the Subway Series that we should have got last year. Wow. I think the Yankees beat let's see. I think they beat they beat the Astros in the ALCS.
Okay.
And I think the Mets beat the Dodgers in the NLCS, and they get their revenge on them last year because of Soto. And I think it sets up for the Yankees and the Mets in the Subway Series. The Yankees get their revenge for losing Juan Soto, and I think the Yankees win the World Series against the Mets. I think they're going to win it 4-2.
Wow. All right. So we're kind of on the same page here, because even again, with the injuries and with the question marks surrounding the team and losing Soto, I think the Yankees, and I'm not just saying that because we're on a Mets-Yankees podcast here, I think the Yankees go to the World Series for the American League. Now, I'm going to be objective, and I'd love to say I agree that the Mets go. I say, again, Atlanta is the National League representative here. So I think we're going to have a World Series we've seen a couple of times recently before. We got the Braves and the Yankees.
96 and 99, yep.
That's right. And I honestly think I'm going to agree with your prediction there that the New York Yankees are the 2025 World Series champions.
How many games over the Braves, you think?
7.
Oh, okay. I like that. Well, it looks like we come to the end of our show. So now, Joe, where can we find you on social media on Tuesday, March 25th?
All right. So I am on
2025.
Twitter X, Joe Dell Sports. I am a lot more active on there than I was. Again, I talk about not only Mets and baseball and Bills football, but, again, we got a basketball tournament going on. We got some playoffs in NBA and NHL coming up here. My Islanders are making a run somehow, some way. So I'm a lot more active on there. So if you're looking for some statistical information or just, news around sports, you can find me there, Joe Dell Sports.
Okay, and then you can find me, yours truly, on Bill's Chat 1 at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also at Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dog Tags on Twitter X. You can also find me at theforkball.com and now stadiumrant.com. That's right, folks, where I write about all sports. Thank you very much and don't forget to, thank you very much for listening. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, comment, hit that like button and ring the bell for more notifications. And for more content on Driving to the Top Productions, please visit our YouTube page, Twitch stream, Facebook stream, X stream, wherever you consume your podcasts. Thank you very much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you tuning back in with us next week, next Tuesday, 8 o'clock p.m. on the Subway Conversation Chat. And your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. You've been listening to the Subway Conversation Chat with Jamie and Joe. Have a good night, folks.
Have a great week, and opening day is here.
Yes, it is.